When somebody passes away in the home, usually a family member calls 911 or calls our office. Our dispatcher takes the call for service, and they contact one of our deputy coroners. They're usually off duty, and a deputy coroner responds to the scene to determine the cause and manner of death of that person. We ask a lot of medical questions. Our coroners will ask, when were they last seen alive? What was their medical condition? Were they sick? Did anybody witness them pass? If it's an accident, we'll ask a lot more questions, and that might also include a investigation by our sheriff's office, or by the police department, or by another agency, the Highway Patrol, and they will ask their own questions in addition to ours. We're just trying to make sure that the death was not a suspicious death, that it was natural, or that everything makes sense. Even if it wasn't natural, as long as everything adds up and the evidence shows what occurred, that's what we're trying to determine. There's a lot of factors that go into coroner work. You have insurance companies that want that information. That's a very big factor in what we do. Our job is to determine the cause and manner of death. A lot of times we'll just ask the family what funeral home they prefer. If they're expecting the death, usually they have that information for us, and we contact that funeral home and they come to the location and do the removal. If we can't get a hold of anybody, we call the next funeral home on rotation, and they show up and do the removal for us. When somebody passes, we're very respectful around them. No matter what the circumstances are, you're very respectful around that person who has passed. And you're very respectful to the family, and you understand it's a trying time. No matter what the circumstances, a loved one has died, and that's pretty traumatizing on a person. So usually what we do is we come in and we have a gurney, and we load the person up and very respectfully package them up and take them to wherever their destination is. Deaths that are not signed off by a doctor, we are responsible for issuing the death certificate. So if it's not a hospice death, or not a death in a medical facility, or not a death that occurred at the emergency room, yes, we are responsible for completing the death certificate. That usually takes 10 days. However, if there's toxicology that needs to take place, or there's an autopsy that needs to occur, that can be delayed up to 2 to 3 months. If I was speaking to a family and we were talking about an autopsy, I would tell them that it's the best way to determine the cause of death. We have pathologists at the crime lab who do a fantastic job and work with the coroners in the state of Montana hand in hand to help families determine why their loved one has passed. Being a deputy coroner is a very tough job. There's a lot of emotion involved. In our line of business, you try to stay somewhat stoic and not show a lot of emotion, but it's very, very difficult, especially in a small community where you know everybody. If you don't know the decedent, you probably know someone the decedent knows who's going to be there at the scene. And I personally feel like I'm helping the family get through that tough time, but it's emotionally draining on our staff also. If you have any further questions after something like that has happened to you, please feel free to contact our office. If that deputy coroner is not on shift or not working, we will contact that deputy coroner and have them return your phone call or contact you within a couple of days at least.